Hello everybody, welcome back to the Aftermath. Today we're going to be talking about the New York Mets. Now, the New York Mets last season finished third in their division, not making the wild card or the postseason at all. So they went 86-76. Their PCT was .531. They finished 11 games back from the Braves, who did finish the top of their division at 97-65. And 7 games back from the Nationals, who went 93-69, who did go and get the second wild card spot and ended up winning the World Series. So the Nationals did definitely have the best postseason out of all the teams. They were definitely the most clutch team, and I think that the Nationals are going to be a really good team next year, and I do think the Mets will be also a really good team next year. So I do think the Mets are going to be really good with the additions of Rick Porcello, Brad Brach, Jake Marisnick, and Michael Wacha. Now, I think that they have a phenomenal pitching staff with Marcus Stroman, Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, Rick Porcello, and Michael Wacha now, and then to round out that outfield with Jake Marisnick, it's going to be phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to see how they're going to do next season. Now, with that being said, we're going to hop into some player stats. We're going to be starting off with the only non-pitcher in the group, and Jake Marisnick. Jake Marisnick last season had 292 at-bats, 46 runs, 68 hits, 34 RBIs, 17 base on balls, 10 homers, 95 strikeouts, a .233 average, and a .289 on base percentage. Now, Jake Marisnick is a phenomenal player. He was not the starter for the Astros, but he was up there for pinch hitters. So I think that if he gets a starting spot, I do think he'll do really well with them. Now, Jake Marisnick played for the Houston Astros last season, who, of course, lost in the World Series to the Washington Nationals. I think Jake Marisnick's going to do better this season because I don't think he got much of a chance last season with the Houston Astros. The Astros are a very stacked team, so they really didn't have room to put him in, maybe for Josh Reddick here and there. But besides that, I do think that he's going to be better here in New York. The next player we're going to talk about is Michael Wacha. Now, Michael Wacha last season played for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he did pretty well with them as well. He had 126 innings pitched, 143 hits, 104 strikeouts, 55 base on balls, 26 homers, and a 4.76 ERA. Now, if he could bring the ERA down, I think he'll be a phenomenal player. I do think he's really, really good. He's a great player. He's always had an average season for the St. Louis Cardinals, but I think with the Mets here, I think he's going to do better, honestly. I think in the rotation, he's going to be a little bit lower down, maybe in front of Rick Porcello, and probably behind Marcus Stroman. So I do think he's a phenomenal player, and I think that he's going to do much better in the New York environment. I think that the division's much easier than what the division he was facing last year. So I think it's going to be phenomenal for him, and I'm looking forward to see how he's going to do. So I hope that he can maybe bring down the base on balls a little bit more, and the same with the homers. The innings pitched is phenomenal. I do think New York needs to improve on their bullpen a little bit. They got Brad Brach. So I do think that that's going to improve it a little bit, but I don't think he has very much time left in the majors, as I think that he will retire soon. So with that being said, we're going to move into Rick Porcello. Rick Porcello last season played with the Boston Red Sox. He had 174 innings pitched, 198 hits, 143 strikeouts, 45 base on balls, 31 homers, and a 5.52 ERA. Now, I do think that is a good everything except for the ERA, maybe. I think that he does need to bring down the home runs a little bit. Does need to bring down the ERA to possibly 3, maybe 4. If 4 would probably be what I would expect from him. But the division he was in was kind of tough with the Yankees, the the Blue Jays do have a few good players, but the offense of Boston got the wins, but they were all mostly close games because the division they're in is the offense is stacked. So I do think that he'll do better this season with the New York Mets. I think that's going to be an easier division for him, and I'm looking forward to see how he does. 174 innings pitched, that's almost 200 innings pitched. I do think he's probably going to be the last guy in the rotation for the New York Mets, but I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do. With that being said, we're going to move into Brad Brach. Last season, he played with the Chicago Cubs. He is 33 years old, so he's a bit on the older side, but I still think that he's going to do phenomenal. The Cubs and the Mets making a trade or signing him in free agency makes a lot of sense. I do think that the Mets are just trying to buy innings and runs. So I don't think that they really care how many runs the other team scores. I think they just want the offense to do well and then the pitching to give up a lot less runs than they did last season. Now, I do think the Mets are a fantastic team, but they need to stop giving up so many runs. Their bullpen does need a lot of help. Their closer did not do so well last season. If he can have a bounce-back season, that would be phenomenal, and I'd love to see that. Brad Brach is 33 years old, like I said. He had 54.1 innings pitched, 57 hits, 60 strikeouts, 31 base on balls, 4 homers, and a 5.47 ERA. So that's pretty darn good. I do like the innings pitched. I mean, for a rotation pitcher, that's pretty darn good. He probably gets 4, maybe 3 to 4, maybe even 2 innings each start he has or each time he comes in. So that's probably around maybe 14 games he pitched in. So to give up only 57 hits, that's not the best, but he's still pretty darn good. So I think that was a good pickup for the New York Mets. So I'm really excited to see how he's going to do. The 60 strikeouts, if we can bring that up a bit, that would be phenomenal. But if not, that's totally fine, I think. 4 homers, that is phenomenal. 4 homers in 54 innings pitched. Wow. That's just so good. I'm glad that that's there. The only problem I have is the ERA. The ERA needs to come down. And the hits does explain why his ERA is so high. So the hits and the ERA make sense, but the home runs do not. And the same with the walks. 31 walks, we need to bring that down quite a bit. So if he could do that, he's just a phenomenal pitcher. So I'm looking forward to see what he's going to do, because really he's just an interesting pitcher to see how he's going to do. Now we're going to hop back into what I think the Mets need to continue to improve on this season. I think that Jake Marisnick was a good addition. I think that he's going to be a good pinch hitter for some of their pitchers who are phenomenal. Their pitching rotation, I think, is complete now for the next couple of years until some of these pitchers' contracts either run out or they decide to retire. So I do think Noah Syndergaard and Jacob deGrom are going to be both phenomenal players for these next upcoming seasons. But I do think as they get older, they're going to start decreasing in value and decreasing in how they do. So they're still both pretty young, and I think they both still have lots left in them. So if they can continue to do well, I think that they're going to start getting up on the top of their divisions. I think that the Braves are not going to have a great season this year. I did think they had a good season last year for sure, but I think they're not going to do as well. I think that the Nationals are going to do really well as well, but I do think the New York Mets will snag either a wild card spot or finish the top of their division. But the Phillies as well did make a bunch of upgrades, so I do think that they'll be sneaking up behind them. But I do think that for the time being, I think that the New York Mets are going to be a good team. That's going to be all for today's video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like. If you like all my videos, please subscribe. That's going to be all for today's video. See ya.